And we're recording. All right. All right, guys, welcome to our New Year, New You Nutrition webinar. This is for the purpose of basically just kind of giving you a refresher. You know, the products work hand in hand with a good, healthy diet. And we have so many new people that joined over the holidays that I want to make sure everyone gets started in the new year on the right foot with healthy eating along with their products. So we're going to talk about consistency on products, how it all goes hand in hand. And then also for you veterans, some of you know all this information and this will be old news, but for some of us who might have strayed a little bit over the holidays, it's nice to get a little bit of a refresher course. So new year, new you nutrition. I just want to go over a few things to kind of get us all moving on the right track, all right? Let's see. My PowerPoint is not wanting to advance. 1 second, guys. Well, come on. There we go. All right, so for those of you that are new, just to tell you a little bit about myself and my husband, my background, if you look at the picture of me on the left, that is of many, many years ago, about 8 years ago. I was very morbidly obese, didn't have any of the usual health conditions that go along with morbid obesity, but I knew I was headed in that direction. So actually, it'll be 7 years next week. I chose to have gastric bypass surgery and completely changed my life, and it really did change my life. I went back to school to be a dietitian. I studied food and nutrition at the University of Alabama, and I am now certified as a fitness nutrition coach, a kids nutrition specialist. And my husband, Ben, who did some chef and catering work on the side as a hobby, decided to go back and get certified as a personal fitness chef. So living healthy has kind of become our passion. And when I had my gastric bypass, I lost a lot of weight, but I gained back about 60 pounds when I broke my back. And so Plexus came for me at the perfect time because it showed me how to get back on the right track. Plexus helped me say no to the junk and helped me shed some of that regain, as well as help my husband get off of, 2 different medications, got me off of an ulcer med, 1 prescription ulcer med. So we've both kept off a little over 50 pounds with Plexus. It was more like 65, but we were bad over the holidays. I'm not going to lie. I'm keeping it real. So we've gotten back on track with the beginning of the year. So this webinar is great for me as well as you guys, because now's the time to just get back on board and living as healthy as we can. We were kind of bad the last couple of months. We didn't make the best of choices. So let's talk about getting started. Number 1, the Plexus products can help you control your cravings for carbs and curb your appetite, but you've got to do the work you need to do to be healthy. The good choices are up to you. So during the holidays, when I chose not to take my block, evenings when I went to bed and skipped my Probio 5, when I chose to eat something with sugar, Plexus is not a magic drink or magic pill. So when I made those bad choices, the products were not able to do what they should. But when you take your products consistently, they help you say no to those things. And we'll talk more about that a little bit later on in the webinar. Sugar and carbs. These are the 2 things that must become very limited in our daily diets if we want to get to and maintain healthy weight, healthy blood glucose level. And also, sugar and carbs cause inflammation, they cause allergy issues, they cause so many things because they contribute to all the different leaky gut issues. They really are just terrible for you. Now, I'm not going to tell you you're never again going to have sugar or carbs. That's not realistic. You have to keep it real. You just need to keep these things to a minimum. I like to follow the 90-10 rule. If you eat really well and stay away from sugar and empty carbs 90% of the time, then that 10% is not going to hinder you. But if you're at a point where you really need to lose weight and you're having some issues and you feel like you might be addicted to carbs and sugar, then I recommend doing a complete detox and getting off of it totally. That's what Ben and I have done. And in less than a week, we're both down 3.5 pounds. So Sugar and carbs really are the devil. So these are some facts that you may not have known, and they're really important facts. Sugar is more addictive than cocaine and heroin. Sugar causes more illness than cigarettes, alcohol, and all other drugs combined. When you look at all the metabolic disease that's caused by our consumption of sugar and carbs, that's obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart disease, so many things that all get lumped into, these illnesses are lumped together and called metabolic disease. It's all caused by sugar. Sugar is really the most dangerous drug out there, and it's legal. So the sugar lobby was very successful in keeping recommended daily allowances for sugar off nutrition labels. So when you're reading a nutrition label and you'll see that something has 3 grams of carbs, and it'll tell you it's X% of the recommended daily value. You'll never see that for sugar, because according to the WHO, we shouldn't have more than 5 or 6 teaspoons a day at the most. So sugar lobby is pretty powerful, and it's in everything. Out of 600,000 processed foods in the grocery store, over 80% have added sugar, and it has over 50 different names. So a lot of times you don't even realize that something you're reading is sugar. I don't care if it says agave, I don't care if it says high fructose corn syrup, sugar, whatever these 50 names are, it's all the same. Sugar is sugar is sugar, and one is not better for you than the other. So when someone tells you, oh, my smoothie's made with turbinado sugar or brown rice syrup or super organic agave nectar, doesn't matter. Once it goes in your body doesn't know the difference. Sugar is sugar is sugar. And remember that. You also need to remember that every 4 grams of carbs converts to a teaspoon of sugar. So, for example, if someone says, I'm doing so good, I'm eating whole wheat bread. Guess what? 1 slice of whole wheat bread is about 20 grams of carbs. So convert that. That's about 5 teaspoons of sugar in a piece of whole wheat bread. So remember that. When you eat bread, rice, pasta, cereal, quinoa, oats, no different than eating sugar. So don't believe the hype the food industry gives you that these certain things are good for you. Because if you're trying to get healthy and lose weight, you've got to cut that stuff out. 1 soda a day increases a child's risk of obesity by 60%. And I think you all probably know this, empty carbs turn into sugar and then are converted into fat in the body, stored as fat. So that's where we want to use our Plexus products regularly. I'm sure many of you have tried Block. Block stops the conversion of up to 50% of the or 48% of the carbs and sugar you eat from converting to sugar and then being stored as fat. Does it mean you can eat 48% more sugar? Of course not. It means if you're going to have a little dalliance, then be sure you take your Block to lessen the damage. But you still have to stay away from that stuff. So here's the sugar addiction cycle. When you eat sugar, you love it, you crave it, it lights up the same pleasure sensors in your brain that drugs light up, and it releases dopamine. Dopamine equals addiction. Your blood sugar levels spike, and then tons of insulin are secreted to bring your blood sugar levels down. Then you're going to have a blood sugar crash. We call that a sugar crash. Then that immediately causes you to store fat. Then your body craves the lost sugar high, and you get hungry again. You start craving. It's amazing if you stop eating sugar and carbs for a while, how much your appetite and your craving for them go down. The less sugar and carbs you eat, the less you want them. The first couple of days of a sugar detox, you feel miserable because you want that stuff. But about day 4 or 5, your body goes, wow, I'm feeling really good, and you just don't want it anymore. So sugar addiction is a really scary cycle, and we are getting kids addicted to it practically from birth. It's in baby formulas. It's added to baby food. If you look at our WIC program, nobody gave babies fruit juice in their baby bottle before that WIC program in the 60s. Baby bottles had milk and formula and water. That's when that started. And now we start giving kids this fruit juice at an early age, and it just creates we have a whole generation of sugar addicted people. And we also have a whole generation of very sick people. Now, a lot of you get hung up on counting calories. I want you to realize that obesity and health are not about calories in versus calories out. It's more about the type of calories that you consume. There's a very big difference in calories from sugar and calories from fiber and protein, and we'll talk about that in a second. But just so you know, since the fitness craze started in the 70s, obesity and diabetes rates have skyrocketed. So it's also not about exercising enough. You cannot exercise enough to make up for a bad diet. If you're eating poorly, you can exercise unless you're a professional athlete. But if you're eating poorly, all those trips to the gym are going to do nothing for you. Also, you may not be aware of this, but type 2 diabetes and type 1 diabetes, type 2 used to be called adult onset because it was the kind of diabetes that you created for yourself by your life choices. And it usually came upon you in adulthood. It was based on poor diet choices and things like that. But now it's so prevalent in kids that we can't call it adult onset. And the kind you're born with was called early childhood diabetes. Now it's type 1 and type 2. That's scary, guys, that it's become so prevalent in children that we've had to change the name. That is so scary to me. So the only way that you're going to permanently keep excess weight off is to make changes to your eating habits, period. That's it. Use your Plexus products consistently. We're going to talk about the right way to do that, and when we talk about how you should be eating, and change how you eat. You don't have to give up time, convenience, or taste to eat healthy. You've got to stay away from boxed and frozen pre-prepared foods and fast foods. They are loaded with sugar and carbs. They're loaded with chemicals, and I'm just telling you, if something says low fat or fat free, stay away from it. Because when you take the fat out of food, it tastes like cardboard. So the food manufacturers replace the fat with sugar. And the low fat craze in the 80s, when you started seeing all the fat-free cookies and fat-free donuts, I know we all remember Entenmann's brand. We thought that garbage was good for us, and it's not. Because that fat was replaced with sugar and carbs. So if you look at, well, I don't want to spoil it. I'll show you in a minute. But another thing that you need to do is involve the whole family in your meal prep and planning. If you get kids in the kitchen at an early age and let them help, they are much less likely, and darn it, I don't remember the exact statistic, but it's pretty high. Their chances of becoming obese as an adult goes way down. You have to make healthy eating a priority. So let's talk about calories right now. All calories are not created equal. You are better off eating 400 calories of protein and fiber than 200 calories of carbs and sugar. So let's say you have some fat-free cookies, or what's something fat-free people eat? Like a piece of fat-free bread and stuff like that. That's not going to do anything good for your body or give you any nutrition the way if you ate a 200-calorie piece of chicken or beef and threw in some veggies that had another 100 calories and a salad that was another 100, 150 calories. That's going to be better for you than just eating 200 or 100 calories in that fat-free cookie or donut. It's the sugar and carbs. Stop counting calories. Look at your carbs, look at your sugar. That's what we're looking for. You want all of your carbs and sugar to come from natural sources, fruits and vegetables and legumes and nuts. That's where you need to eat real whole foods. When you eat right, you feel right. And that there's a difference. All of you that have been with me for a while, when we get off track and we get back on track, we all say, oh my gosh, I felt so terrible. I was eating sugar and carbs galore over the holidays, and I just felt bleh. Sometimes you don't realize how bad you feel till you get on your Plexus products and you start making better choices and you stop eating the junk and you go, man, I didn't know how bad I felt until I started feeling good. And that is a very, very common thing. So I want to talk to you about the way the food industry will try to fool you, okay? I want you to look at these two. Some of you probably think if you pick those baked Doritos that you're making a good choice. The baked Doritos are worse for you than the regular Doritos. Now, I'm not saying eat Doritos. Don't eat either one. This used to be my drug of choice. I could almost eat a whole family-size bag of Doritos. But I want you to look at this, okay? The regular Doritos are 140 calories. The baked ones are 120. Okay, not a big deal. Let's go down to the sugar. The regular Doritos have no sugar. The baked ones have 1 gram. Look at the carbs. The total carbs in the regular Doritos is only 16 grams. In the baked, it's 21. So there's a whole 1.5 more teaspoons of sugar, or about 1.25 teaspoons of sugar in the baked Doritos than the regular. My friends, the baked one is worse. Don't worry about fat. Fat is not the problem. We don't get fat from eating fat. We get fat from eating sugar and carbs. Your body needs fat. Your hair, your skin, you need fat in your diet for those things to be healthy. You need the right kinds of fat though. Just like we need carbs. We need carbs for brain function. We need carbs for our muscle function. But you need the right kind of carbs. The carbs that come from fruits and vegetables and nuts and beans. Not the kind of carbs that come from sugar and grains, okay? So I hope this makes sense to you guys. Let's look at some more interesting information. You probably see these smoothies in the store, like this Adwala smoothie here. It's got almost as much sugar as a Coke. And it doesn't show it here, but that container of Adwala smoothie is about 450 calories. Those naked smoothies and all those prepackaged smoothies, they're horrible for you, okay? Prepackaged, this is telling you how sugar is hidden. Look at this Prego spaghetti sauce. You might think that's healthy. It's got more sugar than a bag of M&Ms in a serving. That's crazy, crazy, okay? When we want to have spaghetti sauce, we make it from scratch in a skillet, stick some fire roasted tomatoes, some chopped garlic, some onions, some olive oil, salt and pepper, and a little Italian seasoning, and simmer that down, bam, you have your own, no added sugar. Be very careful of jarred pasta sauces. They are terrible for hidden sugar. Here's another one. When I first started getting healthy and I had weight loss surgery, I was working out with a personal trainer, and I came to her so excited because I had found reduced fat Oreos. I thought I was doing something great. Well, if you look at the amount of sugar, there's no difference. There is no difference, okay? So don't buy into buying something that says reduced fat or low fat. It is not good for you. Now, a lot of you are probably sitting there saying, you know, Erin, I want to eat healthy, but it's just so expensive I can't afford it. It's not, guys. It's not. Look at this comparison. You've got a meal on the right from a fast food joint to feed 4 people. That's $26. The meal on the left, granted there's bread and sweet potatoes in there, but my point is you can eat real whole food without spending a lot of money. You need to buy vegetables and things that are in season. You need to look for meats and proteins that are also plentiful and in season. Right now, beef is really, really high. So it's actually cheaper to buy ground turkey than it is ground beef. So I substitute ground turkey in all my recipes right now. You can't tell a difference. We make tacos out of it. We put it in spaghetti sauce, all kinds of things. So be smart, know what's in season. Use your local farmer's market if you have one, and you can eat healthy for less money than it costs to go out and buy fast food and junk. So let's talk about a few things that you want to always have on hand when you're trying to eat healthy and sugar-free. You might want to jot some of these down or take a picture of it. Lots of good bread substitutes, okay? Plenty of options. You can get low-carb tortillas, low-carb pitas, low-carb flatbreads, and low-carb crackers. For tortillas, I love Mission brand, low-carb. They're called Carb Balance. Those are great. They work really well and crisp up really well, and you can make pizzas out of them, wraps. I actually, when my husband grills hamburgers, we'll put them in those tortillas or in the pitas and use that in place of a hamburger bun. I've also taken a turkey hot dog and wrapped it up in these. Very versatile. The low-carb pitas and the lavash bread and the flatbread is from a company called Joseph's Bakery. You get them at any Walmart. Those are fantastic, super low in carbs, super low in calories. And then the low-carb crackers come from a company called 34 Degrees, and they are phenomenal. Love those. So you don't have to give up the pleasures of bread. And I'll tell you, you can take those low-carb tortillas and cut them up in strips and things like that and bake them. And there you have chips to do chips and salsa, because salsa is great for you if you make it yourself or if you buy one that doesn't have added sugar. So if you're a person that loves tortilla chips, make them yourself out of low-carb tortillas. We do that all the time, and it's so yummy. Another good thing to keep on hand is frozen vegetables. They keep for a long time. They're great for your stir fry, soup, side dishes. We always have bags and bags of frozen cauliflower in our freezer. Tonight, Ben made a cheesy cauliflower casserole. Reed said it tastes like cheese grits. I think it tastes like a cheesy potato casserole. It had almost no carbs, delicious, full of protein, yummy stuff. Any kind of frozen vegetables. They're just as good as fresh when you're in a hurry, because most companies now flash freeze the veggies. And so you don't have to worry about them spoiling if you don't use them. So keep your freezer stocked. We just buy great value frozen veggies. Keep those in your freezer. And if you've got all these things on hand, then you're going to be less likely to run out to a fast food joint. If you're prepared and you have things on hand, you're going to make better choices. So these are some ideas of what to keep on hand. Now, fresh veggies that keep well. If you keep a head of lettuce and don't cut it up until you're ready to eat it and just cut it in wedges, it'll last a few weeks. Onions, green bell peppers, carrots, parsnips, cabbage, kale, tomatoes, cauliflower, all of those fresh veggies keep for a while. You don't have to worry about them spoiling as quickly. So those are some good fresh veggies for you to keep on hand. Now, protein bars, protein powders. Be very careful. Many protein powders are full of sugar and carbs. You've got to have one that's low sugar, low carb, high in protein. Our Plexus 96 is fantastic. There's also, if you want one that's got more protein, Quest is a good one. Chike is a good one, but be mindful of the sugar and carb content, okay? Also, with your protein bars, many of them are just glorified candy bars. Do not buy those special K bars and Zone bars and all that stuff. Quest bars and Atkins bars. Those are wonderful. They have almost no sugar and carbs. They are fantastic, and they make a good snack, post-workout recovery, or if you get one that's over 200 calories, it can be a meal replacement. So be very careful that you're not choosing protein bars that are just glorified candy bars, because there's millions of them out there. I will tell you, none of the good ones can be found on the aisle with the granola bars and things like that. They're going to be in the pharmacy. That's where you're going to find the good ones. Some good dairy items to keep on hand: skim milk for your cream soups and salad dressings, shakes, Greek yogurt, plain Greek yogurt, not flavored because it's full of added sugar. It's a great substitute for sour cream. We put it in our cauliflower puree. It's good for 100 different things. Unsweetened only soy or almond milk if you're lactose intolerant. Do not buy flavored milks. Those are loaded with sugar. And then cheese. Cheese has no carbs. The harder the cheese, the better for you. Now, when I say cheese, I mean real cheese. Don't go out and buy Kraft American Singles and Velveeta. That's not real cheese. That's processed cheese food. Buy real cheeses. Some good spices and condiments to have on hand: yellow mustard and Dijon mustard, almost negative calorie value. Garlic powder, onion powder, not salt. low sodium soy sauce, sugar-free honey, chicken and beef broth or bouillon, hot sauce, almost no calories. These are just things that if you keep these on hand, you've always got the makings of a good meal, okay? And you'll be less likely to make poor choices. Some really good snacks. You can do the sugar-free, fat-free puddings and gelatins, sugar-free popsicles, raw veggies. You can take Greek yogurt and mix it with ranch dressing and then dip vegetables in it. Unsweetened applesauce, dry roasted edamame, pumpkin seeds, dry roasted pumpkin seeds are really good. Almonds, hummus. Don't do the hummus with pita bread. Dip it with raw veggies or the lavash. And then fresh fruit. Try to stay away from pineapple, mango. If you're not going to work out a few times a week, be careful of bananas. Those have a little bit more sugar. Berries have the lowest sugar content of all. Very, very, very low in sugar when you eat any kind of berry. Raspberry, blueberry, strawberry, blackberry. Any berry is really super low in sugar. So when you're eating well, it's really important to use your Plexus products because here's what happens. When you combine better food choices with your, especially your triplex of your Slim, ProBio 5, and BioCleanse, it's going to help you maintain healthy blood sugar levels, which is going to keep you from craving the bad stuff you're trying to stay away from. It's going to help keep your hormone levels, your cholesterol, your lipid levels, all that at a healthy level, okay? So very important that you are daily consistent on your Plexus Slim. If you are struggling with a sugar and carb addiction, this block is amazing. I mean, look at all the things it does. It also really helps your appetite. If you take that block 30 minutes before a meal and you drink a full glass of water with it to help give that fiber time to expand, I promise you, you will eat less at your meal. We see this all the time. It is wonderful, wonderful for that. The bottom line is you've got to be prepared. If you've got good choices on hand, you're much more likely to make a good choice. If you can, spend a Sunday or Saturday pre-cooking some meals for the week. Don't be afraid to try new things. And guys, we've got to start thinking of food as fuel. We live in the South. I know I do, and many people on this call do, but it's becoming prevalent all over the country where food is so big as food is for sport. Food is for every social event. If we're happy, we celebrate with food. If someone passes away, everybody brings a dish and we mourn with food. Food, 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 it's everywhere. The purpose of food is to fuel our bodies. So you've got to start thinking about that. Always drink a lot of water. That's going to help. It's going to help you feel full longer. It's going to help you with your fiber getting through your system. And if you're out and about for a long time, keep some almonds or a cheese stick or something in your purse. You've got to be prepared, okay? So I want you to start thinking about when you're looking at really using food as fuel, okay? I want you to remember that when we take food and use it as our comfort, when we take food and use it in place of an emotion, we're aiding the problem. We're helping contribute to the problem. But if you can start looking at everything you eat, and you're not going to eat perfect, I don't eat perfect, but if every time you go to eat a meal, look at what's in it and say, okay, what's in this that will help my body? You know, tonight for dinner, we had some beef ribs, that cheesy cauliflower casserole, and green beans. So I look at those beef ribs, full of protein, okay? Great for my body, I need protein. I look at that cheesy cauliflower casserole, full of vitamins, full of the dairy I need, it's got some of the fat I need for my hair and my nails and my skin. Then I look at those green beans. That's a green vegetable. That's going to have iron. That's going to have vitamins. It's going to have lots of things that my body needs, okay? Look at food and ask yourself before you eat it, is this going to help me achieve my health goal? If I look at a Krispy Kreme donut, there is nothing in that donut I can say is going to help me with my health goal. it's going to go straight to my booty, and my booty's big enough. It's going to do nothing to assist me in my health goals, okay? If I look at Doritos, okay, any food that is colored and stains your fingers orange, like Cheetos, Doritos, what do you think that's doing to your gut? If it's staining your fingers, what do you think it's doing to your insides? Look at the ingredients. It's full of chemicals, full of junk. There's no nutrients in there. All the food that God created for us, okay, animals, fruits, vegetables, plants, nuts, beans, all that God created for us. All of those things have different sets of micro and macronutrients that fuel different systems in our body. So the things we don't need much of are the sugar and the carbohydrates. You get enough of that in fruits and vegetables. You don't need to add any more. And in your beans and your nuts, okay? But the thing is, when you eat carbohydrates, like fruit, nuts, beans, they come with other nutrients that counteract what the carbs do to your blood sugar and to your body. Every time you've got fiber with sugar, you're less likely of having a blood sugar spike. So when you eat an apple has sugar, but it has fiber in it. So that's going to counteract what the sugar does. If you drink apple juice, that's just pure sugar. Don't do it. You don't need to ever be drinking fruit juice. Nothing good in it for you. Same thing if I eat some lima beans. That's got carbs, but it's got fiber, it's got protein, it's got iron, so it's going to counteract what those carbs do. So I love the saying from Dr. Robert Lustig, who says, God created the poison, which is sugar, but he packaged it with the antidote, which is fiber. So always think about when you eat something that's got sugar, it needs to have fiber and protein with it, okay? No bread, as much as possible. No processed sugar, donuts, cakes, pies, pastries, rice, pasta. Stay away from it. If you want to lose weight, if you're not trying to lose weight, then this really doesn't apply to you. But if you're trying to lose some weight and you're trying to break a sugar addiction, you want to keep your carbs to 25 to 30 or less a day, grams. And those should come from natural sources, not from processed sugar, okay? And remember, when you're trying to add up how many carbs something has, you always look at the grams of carbs and you subtract the dietary fiber. So if something says it has 25 grams of carbs, but it has 10 grams of fiber, it doesn't matter if it's soluble, non-soluble, all dietary fiber, then that really only has 15 grams of carbs. So always subtract the fiber, and you're looking at the net carbohydrates, okay? Those other carbs, like fiber, your body doesn't absorb that. It passes right through. Sugar, alcohol, and fiber, your body will not absorb. They do not affect your blood sugar. So try to keep your carbohydrates to 25 to 30 net grams a day after you subtract fiber, sugar, alcohol, and things like that. And try and make those come from natural sources as much as possible, okay? Does anybody have any questions? If you do, let me click where you can unmute yourself. If anybody has a question, you are now able to unmute. So we are open for questions for whoever has one. Anybody? Nobody? Can y'all hear me? Okay, good. I know a lot of people on this call are vets and you know my spiel about sugar. Hopefully you'll show the recording to your teams. Is there anything I didn't cover that you want your team to know that you want me to add in? Something that maybe your team may not know that I missed? If so, just unmute yourself and ask away. No? Okay. Well, thank you guys. This was fun. I will get this up on YouTube. Give me about an hour. And y'all have a great night. Bye.